G'day, it's Guesty here. Well, I thought we'd have a bit of a look at mounting a Lowrance Recon electric motor. I've got one on another boat that I've got in there, but I've got to put a brand new one on here's. A couple of simple things just to get the mechanics of it right. Not going to get into the batteries and electronics today, but just mounting it, getting in the correct position, and also fitting a quick release bracket. I've got some tools scattered down underneath there, but the basics of it are we've got the Recon here unboxed, ready to go, and I've also got the quick release bracket, which is awesome if you want to just remove the motor off quickly. The quick release bracket is the way to go. So I really like those. That mounts up here, but you've got to mount the bottom plate to the Recon first, and you just end up with the puck. The puck will end up getting mounted there, but it's crucial just to get it in the right spot. And I've got to tell you, that is the most industrial looking quick release bracket I have ever seen, so I can't wait to fit that. There's a few basic tools that you're going to need. Start with, I'm going to need a Phillips head screwdriver just to take the cover plates off the side of the Recon, and then I need a 3/16 Allen key, the right size either socket or spanner to suit the nuts, and we'll go through that anyway. I've got the drill sitting up there ready to go, some masking tape, I'll show you what I'm going to do with that, a black texter, a bit of a ruler or a tape measure, just a few little things that you're going to need to make the job really easy. All right, I'm going to chuck my glasses on because we're outside here. It's got an old blanket here as well because I'm going to have to roll this Recon over, and I don't want to scratch it or damage it in any way, so I'm just going to sit it on that blanket. Phillips head screwdriver is all you need here. Just quickly undo the side plates off so that you can access the holes underneath, which is what we're going to bolt our quick release bracket to. So one each side, and we'll quickly take those off. That's one. Turning back over this way. I'll just sit that down on my tape, my little workstation. Undo this. This one here. And that just clips out, easy as that. All right, let's get this quick release bracket onto the Recon. So this is the puck, this is the base bracket, and it's got an arrow here and there's an arrow there. It's all got to face forward, pretty simple. This is chamfered, so it's got what we call a chamfer down through this way, so it's narrower on this face and wider there, and then same with this is narrower there and wider there. So if you try and push it in that way, not going to go. So they only go that way together, and then as you can imagine, that sits down like that on top of the boat. So we turn that over, and this arrow's got to face upwards this way, and the puck sits like that. We'll get to that one eventually. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a bit of lanolin grease to the bolts. I love that. It's a fantastic natural product, and what it does helps stop electrolysis. So I've added some to the bolts here already. So we're going to throw a washer on a bolt, slide it down, a washer on another bolt, and slide them down because we've got this, and it's pretty cool what's been done with this Recon, where it's got these slots in the side of the base plate here, so they're not just holes, so it makes it so easy to get started. So push the bolts through, and then we're going to grab another washer, slide that on, and just start a nut, and we'll do it with this one. Actually, I'll pop that one back out because what I will do is this side is the side that I want my locking pin on. So that locking pin, so I'll pull this one out, that's going to sit in there, and then that bolt's going to go through. So that's our security locking pin. So we need to add that now. Don't forget that because it's too late once you put it all together. Slide your washer on, slide a nut on there. That started, and let's do the third one. So one more washer. Oh no, got the bolt in there already. So one more to do here. And then simply line these up, and that'll drop straight in. Make sure those washers are all down to the bottom. So make sure those washers are all sitting on the nuts, and that will just simply slide in like that. Perfect. And what we'll do is we'll just nip those up, and then we'll turn it over and do the other side. So I've nipped those up. They're just nipped up at the moment. I'll tighten everything up once I get everything on there. If you had a socket with the right size, a 3/16 Allen key, you'd use that. I can't find mine at the moment, so I'm just using a good old-fashioned Allen key, works just as well. So now I'll just roll this over this way, and this will all be lined up now. And if I look down through my holes, absolutely perfectly all lined up. So once again, don't forget to put that locking mechanism in. Otherwise, once you bolt all this on, put your covers on, it's too late. So we just repeat the process and drop the next lot of bolts through. I've got the other side all tightened up. We're going to do the same with this. You don't need to swing off it. They're a lock nut style nut, so they'll lock in pretty good, but just nice and firm. And the same with this one. So this one's got our all-important bracket that the pin goes through. Our little brace there, and then tighten this one up. And that's done. The other side's tight, as I said. That's it. Perfect. We'll leave the covers off, because I think it's going to be easier to show you what we want to achieve there. Now it's time to head up this way. First thing I want to do, and this one's not too bad because this hull, this is my new Quintrex, it's unpainted at the moment. But if you've got a fiberglass boat or a painted hull, last thing you want to do, and I don't want to scratch this one either, is scratch it. So I just grab masking tape's cheap, and it'll let you slide the electric motor around, the Recon around, so you can get it in the perfect position, and that's really important. So, and then when we put our texture or our pencil marks on here, we'll be able to see that, and we can just peel that off once we're done. One more bit there, and that's it, easy. And then the whole thing is to get this puck and get it to line up and sit exactly where it needs to be, because you've only got to be a couple of mil, 2 or 3 mil out here or there, and that makes a massive difference across the length of the electric motor, across the length of the Recon. There's a bit of weight here, so if you can get someone to give you a hand, that makes it easy. They're not too bad, as long as you get your arm up along the shaft a bit further, because most of the weight is obviously at the head end. I'll come around through there, and we'll sit that on the puck, and then we'll sit straight on. Righto. And then it's all about trying to work out exactly where we want this to sit. As I said before, you've only got to just move that a tiny bit one way or the other, and it makes a massive difference to where the Recon's going to sit. And firstly, we do not want that the head of the Recon sitting out in past the line of the boat, or out past the line of the boat. And if it goes too wide, it's actually illegal if it sits out past the trailer. So we want to make sure it sits nice and in line that way. And the other thing is we don't want it going that way and sitting and encroaching our workspace inside the boat when it's not in use. So it's really important. And this boat's got a fantastic, really solidly mounted, welded bow mount thruster plate on it, and it lines up, by the look of it, pretty good. So what we'll do, check that out. We've got our pencil here and our texter, and what I'll do is we'll mark around where that's got to go. We can pop that off, and then we can measure and work out where the puck's got to sit. One other thing you want to make sure is that the Recon, when it's in its deployed position, is going to be clear of the front of the bow mount thruster plate. So I've got my bracket level, just about perfectly level there, which is excellent, and I know that's going to be clear. But if you had it sitting further that way, then it's not going to deploy for obvious reasons. You can overhang them just a little bit if you need to. So if you've got to come out this way, you can overhang. I like to have as much of the weight sitting on the bow mount thruster plate, and I've got the room to do it here. So good to go. It's all marked up. Let's take it off. All right, so when we have a look at the base plate here, if I measure it, it's 25 mil thick. It'll be 25 mil thick at either end, at the longer ends, and the width there, 30 mil, and pretty well bang on 30 mil. So going back up to let's climb up here, back up to our plate. So that's where our puck is going to need to sit, and it's pretty close, and you can go, oh, I could lift it off and let it sit there, but it takes 2 seconds to measure it. You can see that outline I've marked. So we want to come in there 30 mil on the width and mark 30. We'll mark 30 there. We'll do the same over here and go 30 mil and 30 mil, and I'm just creeping over the edge there, but that's where I wanted it to get it spot on down the side. And then we'll just mark a line down through there. You can just do this with any old ruler or a tape measure, whatever. So we'll mark a line down there. Same on this side. So we'll mark that, and then we'll do the same at the ends, but working on 25 mil. All right, I've got a smaller drill bit in at the moment. It's quite a big bolt that goes through there, 3/8 with I think it's a 6mm Allen key that you need there. It is a 6mm, I'm pretty sure. And that drops through washer, rubber grommet, all that sort of stuff's all got to go together yet. But what we're going to do is just check our puck sitting right where it needs to be, which it is. And we'll drill one hole to start with, and then we can drop a bolt through, and then we know our puck's not going to move. So that's sitting there perfectly. I've marked the outside, got it sitting where it needs to be, and then we'll just drop straight down. That's exactly where that needs to be. So I'll just drill a pilot hole. Alright, that's our 3/8 drill bit through, and we'll just use this as a marker for the moment. Drop that in, perfect, sitting exactly where I need it to be, and we'll repeat the process now. And I'll just use this, once again, use a slightly smaller drill bit. Sometimes it can be tricky to get to big drill bit to go straight through the aluminium. So now we can swing this around, but we'll just line it up with our side mark, and we'll do the diagonal one here. Start it, move it out the way. Done, change it to that next size up, which is that 3/8. And once we've got those two done, then we can strip our masking tape off. And we know that that puck's going to be in the right place. I'll grab my dustpan and brush and sweep that off. That'll go to there. We'll grab another bolt, sit it in. Perfect, that's where it's going to sit. And what we might do one last check before you go and drill more holes in your boat. We'll sit that Recon on and just do one last check before we finish it off. Let's move my ladder out of the way. This, I know it's right, but it's always better to check before, just in case some error's been made, but it takes 2 seconds to have a little check. Sit that there like that. You can even, if you want to, sit this fella in position for a second. And if I look at that, that is absolutely spot on. The head of the Recon is sitting right in line with the gunnel, both internally and externally, so I know it's in the right spot. I'll take him back off. We can rip our masking tape off now if we like. You could leave it on right to the death, but I'm not going to worry, so I'll take that off. So it's done its job, that masking tape. And we've got 2 holes drilled. We can drop those 2 bolts in. So that puck's going to sit right where it needs to be. And let's go ahead and get them all drilled. All right, so let's get this sorted. Once again, love my lanolin grease. Slide that bolt straight down through there. Lanolin really helps prevent electrolysis, I should say, which is where you get that corrosion starting between 2 different metals. In this case, it's stainless steel and aluminium. So good whack on there, down through there like so, right down through there. And then we've got the rubber washer, the stainless washer, and then the nylock nut. So they're going to sit back up through there. I can see that one sitting through there perfectly. We'll tighten those up all the way around. And you wouldn't believe it, it's starting to rain, so I'm battling the weather, but I've got 2 on. I might even roll the boat back in the shed and I'll finish it off. All right, just got to run around and tighten these up now. So I've got 14mm socket, I've got that 6mm Allen key up the top there. Probably just start at one corner and just nip it up. Don't over tighten them. I've got a pretty good feel for what's right, but if you're lucky enough to have a little tension wrench, it's 20.3 Newton meters or 15 foot-pound in the old scales. But just nip them up. They've got a really good nylock nut. They're not going to come loose. So just start at one, go diagonally opposite, nip them all up, just nice and evenly, and then we'll get to the next step. I'm always dealing with the weather, can you believe it? It was raining a minute ago and now the sun's about to come back out. So just to finish things off, we'll come back outside, drop the motor on. pick this floor back up. Drop it straight onto our puck. Perfect. That looks awesome. I'm pretty happy with that, to say the least. Look at that big heavy duty thing there, would you? So we'll slide that. That just needs a little tap in there like that. That's not going anywhere. Drop that pin in. That's it. Job's done. Just the side covers to go back on. And let's pop those on while we're going. And of course you've got to still sort out obviously your wiring. I'm going to go 36 volt with this one. You can go 24 volt or 36 volt. And there's the prop and the anode to go on there as well. But today was more about how to get this all up and running in the first place. So you just got to clip that back in there like so. That just sits, this one here is a bit different because it sits up underneath there. So get that clip in, that's it, under there. And it's just those 3 stainless steel screws to put the cover back on. And the same on the other side, just nip those up. I gotta tell you, that's a good job done this afternoon. It's just all about the other bits and pieces, wiring, everything else that's got to be done, and she's all sorted. Look at that, even looks good.